Stand in a neutral position with your knees soft, holding onto the pulley. Hold the cable bar with hands shoulder width apart and with your elbows close to your torso, ensuring your palms are facing up. On the concentric phase, exhale and flex elbows, keeping upper arm still. Continue flexing until bar is at shoulder height. On the eccentric phase, you're inhaling, slowly lowering bar to the start position. Move machine's cable to a high position. Stand with feet hip distance apart and your knees soft. Hold bar with both hands in overhand grip. Hands and elbows are shoulder width apart, and begin with your elbows bent. On the concentric phase, you'll exhale, extending your elbows, pressing the bar down towards your lap. Do not squeeze elbows into side, and keep wrists strong and straight. On the eccentric phase, you're going to inhale, flexing both elbows, bringing you back to your starting position. Make sure while doing this exercise, you keep your upper arms still. Reach up and grab the bar. With an overhand grip with your hands wider than shoulder width apart. Sit with your feet flat on the floor in front of your body and adjust knee pads so it's snug on top of thighs. On the concentric phase, you're going to exhale, extending your shoulder joints, flexing your elbows, and pulling bar towards breastbone so that elbows bend towards your waist. On the eccentric phase, you'll inhale, flexing your shoulder joints, extending your elbows, and bringing you back to the starting position, but not locking your elbows at the top. Place feet on platform, grab handle and sit down on bench. Slide your butt back until your knees are slightly bent, keeping your torso still the entire exercise. On the concentric phase, you'll exhale, pulling handle towards the front of ribs, extending your shoulder joint and flexing your elbows so they point towards the wall behind you. On the eccentric phase, you'll inhale, flexing your shoulder joint and extending your elbow, but make sure your elbows don't lock. Adjust backrests so back of knees wrap around edge of seat when knees are bending. Adjust lower roller pad so it sits across back of ankles. Adjust upper roller pad so it is snug against the top of your thighs. On the concentric phase, you're exhaling, keeping your ankles dorsiflexed and flexing your knees in order to pull heels towards back of thighs. On the eccentric phase, you're inhaling, extending your knees, bringing pad back to the top without locking your knees when you get to the top. Stand in a neutral position with your feet hip width apart and dumbbells at your thighs. On the concentric phase, you'll exhale, flexing your shoulder joints, bringing the dumbbells up to your shoulder height, keeping your palms facing the floor. On the eccentric phase, you'll inhale, extending your shoulder joints, bringing you back to your starting position. Begin with bar across back of shoulders, keeping the knees soft and spine neutral. On the concentric phase, you're going to exhale, flexing your hip joints, moving them back as you bend over to a near parallel position. On the eccentric phase, you're going to inhale, extending your hips until you return to the start position. Stand in a neutral position. On the concentric phase, you'll exhale, stepping up the steps by placing one foot on the first step, your next foot on the top step, and bringing that first foot up to the top step. On your eccentric phase, you'll inhale by going down the steps, stepping down with the opposite foot you stepped up with, placing the next foot on the ground, bringing the first foot back to the ground. Adjust upper level so shoulder pads rest across shoulders. Place balls of feet on platform, feet hip distance apart. Do not bend at the knees or hips. On the eccentric phase, you'll inhale, sinking both heels down towards the floor, which makes your ankles in dorsiflexion. And on the concentric phase, you'll exhale, rising up on balls of feet, which will make your ankles in plantar flexion.
Seated, grab one lever and pull it across your chest. Use the other arm to grab the other lever. On the concentric phase, Ashley is performing horizontal abduction by opening her arms towards the side walls. Elbows should be in line with shoulder joints, and you should be inhaling. On the eccentric phase, Ashley is performing horizontal adduction by bringing both lever arms back to the middle of her chest. During this lifting phase, she should be exhaling. The primary muscle mover for a pec deck is the pectoralis major. Climb steps 1 foot at a time and grasp bar with an overhand grip. On the eccentric phase, carefully lower your body by extending your elbows, remembering to inhale. On the concentric phase, lift your body upwards by flexing your elbows, remembering to inhale. The primary muscle mover for a pull-up is the latissimus dorsi. Adjust backrest so that back of knees wrap around edge of seat when knees are bending. Adjust roller pad so it sits just above tongue of sneakers. Keep feet hip distance apart and ankles dorsiflex. On the concentric phase, Ashley is straightening her knees upward, but not to the point of locking out. She is also exhaling. On the eccentric phase, Ashley is bending her knees downward to a 90-degree angle, and she is inhaling. The primary muscle mover for leg extensions are the quadriceps. Stand in front of mirror with feet hip width apart and knees soft. Hold a dumbbell in each hand. Hold dumbbells just above shoulder height to start out. On the concentric phase, lift dumbbells above head by fully extending elbows. During this phase, you are exhaling. On the eccentric phase, bend elbows to lower dumbbells just above shoulder height, and don't forget to inhale. The primary muscle mover for overhead press is the deltoids. Stand in front of mirror with feet hip distance apart and knees soft. Hold onto a dumbbell in each hand with a pronator grip. Begin with elbows straight but not locked, and dumbbells at your side with palms facing in. On the concentric phase, lift dumbbells out to sides to the same height as your shoulders, remembering to exhale. On the eccentric phase, lower dumbbells to sides just below hips, remembering to inhale. The primary muscle mover for lateral raises is the deltoids. On the lowering phase, the leading hip is performing flexion while both knees are bent at a 90-degree angle, performing flexion as well. During the lowering phase, you are inhaling. On the lift phase, the hips and knees are both performing extension and you are always exhaling. The primary muscle mover for lunges is the quadriceps. On the lowering phase, Ashley's elbows are going through flexion and her shoulders are going through hyperextension. During the lowering phase, you always have to remember to inhale. During the lift phase, Ashley's elbows are fully extending and her shoulders are performing flexion, and she is also exhaling. The primary muscle mover for push-ups is the pectoralis major. Position feet hip width apart on each side of the machine. Straighten legs to unlock levers and twist them outwards. On the eccentric phase, Ashley is bending her knees to a 90-degree angle and engaging her core throughout the whole set. She is also inhaling. On the concentric phase, Ashley is extending her knees, making them straight to push the load away from her body, engaging her core, and she is always exhaling. The primary muscle mover of seated leg press is the quadriceps.